What's up, guys? Welcome to the fifth episode of Road to Runeterra Mastery. And the road is paved with mistakes. So what I do in this show is I take all the it's basically just like I go over all the mistakes that I made in my stream earlier today. If you want to watch the full stream, you can check it out in my Twitch in the description below. So let's get into it. All right, so this first one's really basic. It's just pretty simple. I literally just forget to glimpse my zap here. It's getting ready to get blocked with the fizz. And I just forget to glimpse it because I had too much other stuff I was thinking about in my mind. Really simple mistake, but it's something that I actually did, I think, 3 different times over my stream. And it actually really ended up costing me a lot because I really needed that draw. And it's really important to not forget the glimpse. Here, as you can see, it's turn 2. It's my defensive turn. And I have a deckhand and Elise in my hand, and I decided to play the Elise. I'm against Ezreal Draven. The mistake here was I should have played the deckhand this turn and waited to play the Elise next turn, because the Elise is a great thermo target, as you can see this turn. But next turn, if he wants to thermo it, he's going to have to commit probably more mana, because then I can, if he doesn't, yeah, he's going to have to commit all his mana if he wants to kill it as soon as I play it, which he probably wouldn't want to do. So that's the reason I should have played the deckhand last turn and played the Elise this turn. So this was a lesson I learned. This is actually pretty crazy here. So right here, I have mana open for Ruination. I decide I don't need to keep it open because right now it's my attack turn, and the misfortune there, you see me looking at it right now because I'm thinking about it, only has 1 out of 4 attack. The problem is that if he pursuits this turn, he already has a scout on the board. And if he pursues this turn, he's going to get 1 attack with the scouts, another attack, and then he's going to open attack, and MF's going to level on that open attack, and it's going to do a ton of damage to my Nexus. So for that reason, I actually should have kept mana up for Ruination here. It's really crazy. I think the rule of thumb is if there's an MF that's attacked at least once, and there's a scout on the board, then you need to keep mana open for removal for MF that turn, unless you don't have any other choice, of course. But that's the rule of thumb I'm going to follow in the future. And this is, of course, talking about playing with a go hard deck. This is this was a mistake here. So as you can see, it's his turn 2. He plays an Elise. The mistake here is that I decided to not Vile Feast on this turn. I decided to wait until next turn because I'm thinking it's not going to matter. I don't remember exactly what my reasoning was. I almost did it, but then I thought, no, I should just wait till next turn. But the reason that's a mistake is because the spider that I generate off this Vile Feast will actually be able to block the spider from Elise next turn. And so for that reason, I should have played the Vile Feast this turn instead of waiting until next turn. So this one isn't necessarily a mistake, but it is something I didn't think about. So I was going to Vile Feast this Teemo this turn, right? But I thought I should wait and see what my top deck was, because I was thinking maybe I could top deck Whale or something else I would rather use the keg with. And I actually do top deck Whale. And so debatably that was still better. But the thing I wanted to point out here is there's just one thing I didn't consider, because at the time I was thinking there's no reason to play Vile Feast now. There's no benefit to doing it because the spell mana is going to roll over. There's no benefit to doing it this turn, but there actually is a benefit. The benefit is if he uses Troll Chant last turn on my defensive turn, he doesn't get as much value out of it because the -2 attack on one of my units wouldn't matter because the battle he already attacked that turn. So he actually ends up using Troll Chant this turn to save his Teemo here. But he also is able to take my Zap's attack down to 0 this turn that I would have been attacking on, and that causes me to get in less damage that would have actually been very useful for me to get in. And so that would have been a reason to Vile Feast last turn. And that's something I didn't consider that I should have. So what I do right here is I make the mistake of playing Elise, which doesn't seem like a mistake. I'm against Pirate Aggro. Notice the Gangplank is stunned. He only has the Winner, the Jack the Winner, and the Misfortune here. And notice I have plenty of things to block. I don't need another Elise. I just kind of played her here because I thought, why not? But I'm getting ready to find out why not. It's because he gets ready to play a Fearsome unit, and I have nothing to block it. Now, what could change that? Nothing necessarily, but what could have changed that is a salvage here. I could have, instead of playing Elise, I could have salvaged And if I hadn't played Elise, I would still have. Actually, okay. Actually, I just realized if I hadn't played Elise and I played Salvage instead, I wouldn't have enough to play a Doom Beast. But what I could have done instead of Salvage is I could have glimpsed this spider instead of salvaging. And if I hadn't played Elise, I would have still had enough mana to play the Doom Beast. And you know, it's pretty decent odds because it wouldn't have just been a Doom Beast. I could have also drawn a Bile Feast or a Go Hard that would have let me take out that spider. But there's a pretty good chance I could have drawn into one of those things, and I would have had. See, as you can see, I actually do draw into a Doom Beast. So if I hadn't played Elise here, I would have had enough mana to play the Doom Beast, and I would have had something to block this spider, and that would have cost me 2 less damage, and that would have been really, really important against this deck because I mean, this is a pirate aggro deck, and every point of Nexus that you can protect is that's very valuable for you here. So I make a pretty crucial mistake here. So to give you some context, this is against a Lee Sin Zoe deck, and the Lee Sin has just attacked. They've just finished their attack, and so I played gold TF and I gold carded. Yeah, okay. I was wondering how he's. So I played DF, I blue carded, and then I played the Croaker, which gave me or the Zap. I think the Croaker. And that gave me 1 more draw. So that's why he was at 2 draws there. So this is a great play against Lee Sin Zoe. You want to play TF blue card right after Lee Sin attacks because other than dragging TF with Lee Sin, they have no removal for TF in this deck. And since I have a good hand to level TF, I'm in a great spot. But I make a mistake last turn. If you'll notice, if you could remember, I actually played Salvage last turn. That was a mistake. And I'll tell you why. Because the mistake, I ended up leveling TF and I ended up being fine. But the reason I'm fine is because he actually doesn't have a key card in his hand. He doesn't have Hush in his hand. Because if he has Hush in his hand, I can no longer. I need to be able. The key is I need to be able to level TF at burst speed on this turn, which I can't do now because I played my Salvage last turn instead of my Glimpse. I should have Glimpsed last turn, and then immediately into this turn, I should have double Salvaged. That would have leveled TF instantly. It would have given him no chance to counterplay with Hush and stop my TF from leveling. I mean, he could have stopped the TF from playing cards afterwards, but that would be a lot less valuable than stopping the TF from leveling this turn, or at all, right? And see, especially now, I actually don't even try to level TF on this turn, which is another mistake. I play Ledros because my thought process is I still have to salvage. Next turn I'll draw, and then he'll be at 6 out of 8, and I can salvage until he'll level instantly. He can't stop that, but he actually can because it's going to be his attack turn. So he's going to have the first action, so he can play Hush on his first action and stop my TF from leveling at all, which actually would have cost me the game here. Now this right here is actually from the same game, and this is crazy. Like look at this stack. Like this stack is actually quite insane. I just wanted to point out something that I wasn't considering at the time, which is there is a way he could have won here. So as you can see, if you can, I'll try to explain this for you to kind of make sense of this. But so at the time when I put all this stuff on the stack, I know the screen's kind of dark, you probably can't see, but his Lee Sin has 6 attack. It's the strongest thing on his board, and he also has a butterfly here that's 5 attack, right? Sparklefly that's 5 attack, and so he attacks, he open attacks, and I'm playing 3 fast speed spells, 2 Glimpse Beyonds, and 1 Vile Feast, so that I get all 3 of TF's cards off, including the gold card Stun, which would stun Lee Sin. And I'm also since he challenged the Twisted Fate, I had to glimpse the Twisted Fate because he could deny the gold card, and if I didn't glimpse the Twisted Fate, then the Dragon's Rage would still go off, and that would do 6 damage to my Nexus that I can't afford to be damaged, right? And so I used the gold card, but I didn't actually consider there is a way for him to win here. So if you'll notice here, you just played a Pale Cascade on his Sparklefly, and it's now up to 7 attack. So it's going to get the gold card instead of Lee Sin. And if you'll also notice, he still has 4 mana left, which is enough for deny. So he could have denied the Glimpse on Lee Sin, And if he did that, or he could have denied the glimpse on my Twisted Fate, so that Lee Sin's Dragon's Rage would still go off, and he wouldn't be stunned because the Sparklefly would be stunned instead, and he would still attack, and Lee Sin would do 12 to my Nexus, which is exactly what I have, and then I do have a Vile Feast on the stack that I could have used to drain 1. I actually didn't get the Vile Feast off because I put it on the Sparklefly, which was a mistake. I should have put it on the something else so that if he did decide to buff the Sparklefly out like he did, it wouldn't, because right now the gold card and red card just kill the Sparklefly and the Vile Feast just fizzles. I was in a rush. I don't think even if I had all the time in the world, I would have been able to think that through. I would have needed so much time to think that through. But what I should have done is Vile Feasted one of these other ones, but he would have actually still won because he still has this Sparklefly here on the end that I couldn't block, and that would have been the 1 extra damage, and he would have still done 13, and I could have lost there. Crazy fucking sequence of events. Just, I don't know, it was really interesting to see that there is actually a card combo that I could have lost to, and it's like this situation where they drag TF and you're playing 3 fast spells to try to cycle through his cards fast is... The sequencing and ordering that is always really complicated and something to really pay attention to. I think a key thing to remember is TF's cards are burst speed, so they will all of them will resolve before any of your fast speed spells do, which is really important in the sequencing. All right, so this is the last one of the day, and the mistake I make here is I'm in a pretty bad position no matter what, right? I have Lee Sin. I have 5 next cell to have a Lee Sin. But on the bright side, I have a Vengeance, and he's out of denies. He's used 2 denies, unless he's running 3 deny in this deck, which isn't typical. He's out of denies. So I'm actually I could potentially kill Lee Sin here with my 3rd Vengeance. But the problem the mistake I make here is that I forget that I think of why not play Ledros here, right? But the mistake that I make here is that I forget that he can still play enough units to do 5 Nexus damage to me. So, say he drags my Ledros with his Lee Sin, it's not going to matter if I Vengeance the Lee Sin if he still has enough units in other units here to deal 5 Nexus damage to me. So how could I have possibly avoided this? I could have played Croaker. I could have glimpsed the Croaker and hopefully gotten either a salvage or 2 more units to play. Or I wouldn't have needed 2 units to play. My point is, if I gotten a salvage, that would be more draw. I would have had the mana to spin that too, because I played Ledros. I had 9 more mana here, and so that would have actually been the higher percentage play for me to win here. I just didn't realize, I wasn't thinking about the fact that he could summon enough units here to actually do 5 damage, because Lee Sin decks don't usually have a lot of units to play. But if I remember correctly, he plays like an Eye of the Dragon, and then obviously he's going to have the Dragon Link next turn. And he has the Mentor, which is going to buff up the Eye, and that's actually exact lethal. So I lost this game because of that, and I would have had a better chance of winning if I had thought this through, and if I had considered this potential outcome, and I had played the Croaker and the Glimpse Beyond the Croaker. And so that's it for today. Today I felt pretty good. I felt like I made mistakes, but I made new mistakes. And I feel like I am learning from all the mistakes I'm making, and I'm not really making the same ones in the same ways. So I don't know. I feel good. And I'm ready to get back at it tomorrow. If you guys have any questions or comments, or you see plays that I missed or anything about the video, let me know down in the comments. And thanks for watching.